Hello YouTube and minds, this is the Velociraptor speaking. I'm coming to you from this time out in the woods. I'm near a highway, as you can probably tell by the sound in the background. And I saw a little trail and decided to check it out. And while I'm checking it out, talk to you about a three-part proposal that I have for how we could fix America's economy once and for all, and get to a state once more where we could begin to consider within the next generation or two, possibly beginning to pay down our national debt, grinding that trillion down to billion, and eventually be solvent once more, which we are not. Step one in this is the passing of a sales tax or flat tax. In other words, a fair tax or a flat tax, as they're more colloquially known. I used to be a fan of the flat tax, but I've been persuaded to lean my favor towards the fair tax. In either event, everyone would pay the same percentage. With the fair tax, consider this. Poor people buy less than rich people. Therefore, poor people would necessarily pay less tax than rich people. Everyone's obsessed with the rich bearing the burden for the rest of us. Well, being that they buy more and therefore pay more taxes, do I really need to spell that out any further? Personally, I think the tired old argument about the rich paying their fair share is absurd to obscene levels, really. This is absolutely disgusting. Wow. Just wow. This is why we can't have nice things. Anywho. Once this is done, and you have replaced our existing tax code with this much simpler format, there would be no need for the IRS. We could abolish it. And with that, some 16,000 jobs that exist purely for the purpose of giving the government what it takes to take what you've got. And possibly open the door for other things that I am not aware of, or it simply hasn't occurred to me. In any event, step two is rescinding the income tax, or abolishing the income tax. With that, you do away with a whole mess of white-collar crime that, in some instances, probably shouldn't even be crime. Think of how much less government oversight there would necessarily be. Businesses would flourish. And the best part, in my opinion, there would no longer be a need to worry over the minimum wage. Because how much of a person's wages are eat up with income tax that goes to bankrupt projects? So all this would necessarily be covered by the sales tax. Really, there's a whole mess of projects that ought to be done away with. But I'm sticking with the 3-part plan for now, because this path to solvency would necessarily allow for such things to happen. Prosperity opens up all kinds of doors. Step 3 is the passing of a balanced budget amendment. Pass the balanced budget amendment, and that forces the government in generations going forward to be mindful of finances, to rein in spending, to consider the actual necessity of welfare programs before implementing them. Discussions could no longer go simply one way, which in recent generations they have been, steadily further and further to the left. That's how we've gotten where we're at. In large part, I realize that there's a lot more nuance to that discussion, but I consider it a large part. So that is the Velociraptor's 3-part plan for economic prosperity. The passing of a fair tax or flat tax, preferably fair tax, and the abolition of the IRS, the rescinding of the income tax, and the passing of a balanced budget amendment. Do these three things and watch America become truly great. And that's about all for today.